Hey guys, Rob here from D&D Toy Reviews, and today we're going to be looking at the Fighting Armor Wolverine by Sentinel. So let's get straight into it and start off with his accessories. Okay, so first in the box we get the instruction sheet. We get a pair of splayed out hands, and because this is based on their Fighting Armor Iron Man, all of the hands have the repulsor ports on them. He comes with the fists on him in the box, and we get the Wolverine claw hands, and we get one of the most interestingly designed stands I have ever seen. So we're going to start off with the stand, and the way this works is there's a little locking peg here that you slide off, and then you just pop this in where any of these clear tracks are. You just push it in, and that will pop the track out, and then you just push the stand in, the arm, in, flip it over, and here where there's this little T-shaped bar, you take that bit you slid off, that bit there that you slid off, and you just slide it back in. Oh, where'd it go? Sorry, dropped it. It's a little bit tricky. We slide it back in over that little T shape, and that locks the arm in place. And then you can move the arm freely along that track until you come across one of these pegs down here, in here. Those will stop the arm from sliding in the track. But that's one of the most interesting ways I've seen of mounting a display arm. Usually you just peg it in and you're done. The arm itself is hinged at the bottom, hinged in the middle, hinged at the top, rotation, and hinge for the claw arms. So we'll set that aside. And yeah, that's pretty much for accessories, not a lot. So let's move on to Articulation! Okay, so articulation-wise, this guy is packed with articulation. First, I just want to talk about the paint a little bit. He is covered in paint. It looks like almost everything, with the exception of these knee hinges, the ball joints, the wrist joints. Aside from those, it looks like pretty much everything is painted on this guy, and it is painted in this beautiful, sparkly, shiny metallic paint. Even the yellow is metallic. It looks absolutely beautiful. No slop anywhere. The lines are all really clean. Even the belt buckle. Everything is really perfectly painted. It's just absolutely amazing. But that does lead to a worry that, somewhere down the road the paint might get chipped up. Oh, the elbows aren't painted either. But just looking at this, Sentinel did an absolutely stunning job on the paintwork. So, articulation-wise, the head, we get kind of a ball joint, it seems, but it's rather limited at the top, and then a joint at the bottom of the neck. So when you start moving them around together, you can get pretty decent motion. Side to side is possible, though it's a little tight. Looking up, if we look at the back of the head, when we move the head up, it slides up over that bit on the back to give you an insane looking up motion, because as I said, it's based on their Iron Man figure. And you gotta have Iron Man looking up to do those flight poses. The ears, a little bit sharp, so you might want to watch your fingers if you're grabbing it on here and unexpectedly stab yourself. The shoulder bits, the shoulder pads, do move. My right one, for some reason, it's very easy for me to just accidentally push it too hard and pop it out of the socket down here, but it just goes right back in. The left one, for some reason, I don't have that problem. We get a butterfly at the shoulder, though the shoulder pads do kind of bump into the back plate. Arms will go up to the side all the way. We get a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, the ball and hinge wrist that, oh sorry, no, that is a bit of a problem. I'll get to that in a second. Sorry, the ball and hinge wrist that lets you, move the hand pretty much any way you want, though it is a bit difficult getting it to rotate. And the pegs, you can see the pegs are pretty much non-existent. It's just a ball on top of the hinge. So when you're moving the hand around, it's very easy to move it up a little bit too far and pop, off it comes. But I suppose that's better than breaking the peg. For the torso, we get a twist just under the chest that also has a bit of a crunch. We also have this loose floating bit for the midsection that allows us to get some really deep crunches forward and back. There's also a swivel at the hips, the waist, and another forward back motion. I believe it's ball joints in there. The hips are on, I guess they're universals, you would call them. You can move them out to the side pretty far, forward pretty far, and back a good range backwards as well. Now, one thing you'll notice when you're moving the legs is they might seem a little bit limited at first. When I first got it out of the package, I thought, oh wow, that's just amazing, look how much forward motion I can get. But then you realize when you're moving it, you can actually slide the leg down to get extra range of motion. Now, if you slide too far, you will pull the leg right off because it's just a friction peg holding it on there. But you'll feel a spot where it's starting to give you some pushback, and don't, once you reach that spot, you keep pulling, you're going to pull the leg right off. But it gives you a lot more motion by pulling it down just a little bit. So instead of using like the drop hip design, they've done a drop thigh. And it's an interesting touch. We get double jointed knees that give us wonderful motion. Now, if you move them too far back from one joint, you'll break the sculpt like that. But, it's not terrible. And then we get the ball and hinge for an ankle, so we get great movement forward and back. This flap on the boot will get out of your way. And we get a toe hinge and rocker side to side. And same kind of thing with the hips. You can kind of cheat the limited articulation by pulling slightly. I pull a little bit too hard there, but you can pull slightly on the foot and keep it on the peg. Sorry. And you can increase that motion just a little bit. So for a line that's supposed to be, really hyper articulated and obviously hyper stylized, it lives up to it. You get great range of motion on this guy. The only thing I would say is it's very light on accessories for the price. I passed on the Iron Man because you didn't even get like a single repulsor blast for him. I passed on the Spider-Man because it was just a weird design. And I might pick up Cap now that I've had Wolverine, because Wolverine has certainly changed my opinion on the line. But again, the accessories for the price are a little bit light. I mean, it would have been nice if we could have had a splayed hand with claws coming out, or a gripping hand with claws coming out, just something for a little added expression in your display. But for what it is, it's a really well done figure. Oh, I forgot to mention there are bits of die cast in it as well, so it's got some serious heft to it. And to give you an idea of scale, here he is next to a Mezco Batman. And my previous review, the Classified Series Roadblock 3.0. So it is a little tall to scale with a regular 6-inch scaled action figure line. But that's okay. I mean, it doesn't really fit in because of its aesthetic anyway. But on its own as a display piece, or, with some other fighting armor figures as a display, it looks fantastic. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time.